Hello and welcome to another fun-filled edition of Adam's Music Box. And as always, I forgot to put the microphone in front of me, but that has been rectified, so hopefully you can hear me now. So the Olympics just happened. Well, they're happening in perpetuity, but the opening ceremony happened, and a lot of people are talking about the very controversial elements of it, the offensive stuff and the strange stuff. But there was also a moment of catharsis that most people seem to agree was done very well. And this was Celine Dion, who herself has had some health problems over the last few years, but she made a kind of triumphal return in the middle of Paris, singing the song Hymn à l'amour, or the Hymn of Love, the Hymn to Love, if we want to be very specific. And a lot of people were asking about that song. Where does it come from? How old is it? What's it all about, Alfie? Except for that part. So I wanted to just tell you a bit about the song because it has a rather unique origin. It was obviously made famous by Edith Piaf, the most well known in France and globally, the most well known French pop singer of the first half of the 20th century before her rather premature death at the age of 47 in the mid 20th century. Now, this song was not only one that she recorded and made famous, but she wrote the lyrics to it, as she did for many of her songs, which certainly in the English speaking pop world, it wasn't at that time very typical for a pop singer to write his or her own songs. And her frequent collaborator was the songwriter Marguerite Monod, and she wrote the music. And this was also quite unique if we're comparing and contrasting this to the world of English language pop composers at the time. We're talking about the 1940s and 1950s, and that both the lyricist and the songwriter, the composer, were female. Most of the songwriting partnerships in America, in Britain, Canada, etc., were male. So this itself was unique. Now, the song is one part hopeful and one part fatalistic in terms of the lyrics, and it's not difficult to understand why someone might be feeling those things at the tail end of a devastating war that hurt a lot of people in France, as it did in the entire world, from China all the way to Hawaii and many places in between, depending on which way you're looking on the map. I'm just going to read an English translation of some of the words, and it might not be an exactly perfect translation, but I think it comes pretty close. The blue sky over us may fall, and the earth may well collapse. I don't care if you love me. I do not care. As long as love floods my mornings, as long as my body quivers under your hands, I do not care about the problem. See, there's the fatalism that comes into it. Continuing on, my love, since you love me, I would go to the ends of the world. I would get my hair dyed blonde if you asked me. That's a very French line, if I must say so. I would go to the moon. I would go and steal a fortune if you asked me. I would deny my nationality. I would deny my kin if you asked me to. You can laugh at me. I would do anything if you asked me. If one day, if one day in life the tears so I'm trying to see how we can better translate that. If you were away from me for one day, I would cry tears. If you die, may you be far from me. I don't care if you love me, because I would die too. We will have eternity for us in the blue of all the immensity. In the sky, no more problems. My love, do you think we love each other? God unites those who love. So it's a far cry away from love and marriage. Love and marriage go together like a horse and carriage. Much more fatalistic. There's a dark quality to it, although there's a kind of nihilistic optimism of sorts, if you can handle that paradox, in terms of how the lyric resolves. So it was an interesting choice of song, but Celine Dion, I think, sung it beautifully well. And it's kind of a shame that her sort of return to the spotlight and singing a song pitch perfect um, there's been overshadowed by the more strange elements of the presentation. But a lot of people are remarking that that was sort of one of the saving graces. Some people like the whole thing that takes so many people to tango and all the rest of it. But I just wanted to let you know a bit more about that song. And now that you've seen the modern version, why not take a look, listen to the original version? Edith sort of sings it a bit more in a way, in a manner that's a bit more intimate and less grandiose. I think both work very well. And for a big international ceremony, a big public event, you need to go on the grandiose side. So I think that worked. So that's a bit about that song that you may have heard over the last few days. Like, subscribe. We will see you next time. Take care.